Hello everybody, Ed0626 here, bringing you my final episode of Adventures in Votech with yours truly. Before I get into that, I do want to say not only thank you for, watching these last 12 episodes, but, it's great for me, it's great for the channel, it's nice to share, so it's always nice to share some personal experiences with y'all. And in addition to that, I also want to describe the gameplay really quick. This is a game of Walker Assault, full gameplay on the map Junlin Wastes, aka Tatooine, on Star Wars Battlefront. And towards the end of the video, I get a hero pickup that turns into Darth Vader. You've seen it before because it was a video I chose in my, Ed0626. Montages from my 6-year anniversary, which were fucking fantastic. If you haven't seen those yet, you should probably give those a watch. There was some great shit in that. I hope, other than that, thank you guys for supporting the videos, and let's get right into the series finale, shall we? So, everything I have told you all up to this point has turned into, has led up to this moment. And that moment was me eventually deciding I did not want to partake any longer in the field of culinary arts. And everything I've told you up to this point is pretty much, each step of it, led me to that decision, After a while, and I'd say about most of my way through my second year of Votech, which was my junior year of high school, I had no passion for it anymore, I felt like, and as a few of my friends had felt like, that the system had worked against us, or the system that was in place worked against us and not in our favor. We kind of felt like we were the ones being pushed aside, while other people were getting the, attention that we felt like that we kind of deserved because we were working our ass off just as much as they were. Or those people, I should say, were. And to be honest, I have no apologies for what I have said because of that, because everything I've told you up to this point is true. Every experience I've had, every feeling I've had towards my fellow classmates, it was all 100% true. Most of them were pieces of garbage as human beings, and that's pretty much it. They were all, in their defense, that we were all kind of messed up in our own way, but at the same time, some were more fucked up than others. And again, and let me just, tell you guys, the last couple months of my Votech career. So, it's coming to that time where Votech is closing down again for the year. And I had thought about it for quite a while now. And I said to myself, is this something I really want to do anymore? Of course, that answer was no. And I said, can I go through another year of this? And I was asking my friends about it, my friend Bree specifically, because she was probably the one I was the closest to in terms of, the class itself, because she was like my best friend there. And it was just, it was a lot of things. A lot of the people, despite how I felt about them, a lot of the people who I was familiar with were no longer going to be there. And there was going to be an influx of people from the class that was happening either before us or after us. Like I said, I still don't know. I honestly still don't know what the difference was for the second year. I don't know if we were morning or afternoon class, but whoever was the class that same day as us, if they were morning or afternoon, they would be integrated with us to some degree. And I didn't know them that well. So my excuse when I went to tell the chef I didn't feel like doing this anymore, that kind of was my excuse, was, you know what, I'm not ready for I'm not ready for like seeing all these new people and yada yada yada. And what really was going on with me was that when you feel like you get worked and you get no reward out of it, or very little reward, because I did have my moments. I did have the Atlantic City competition. I did have that time I actually helped one of the classes win the Atlantic City competition in the category with my awesome Lord Mermaid. But and that was it though. Sure, there might have been a few other aspects, but that was really it. The real reason was because I just didn't have the passion for it anymore. I felt like I was getting worked and no reward was coming from it. Now it's different when in radio now, because when I do shit, I feel like I actually get something out of it, because I can record and edit a commercial with my own voice, of course, and it usually always ends up on the air. So because of that, I'm super happy, So I feel like I get something out of this. But there was a time where I also got paid for doing promotions and shit. So I felt motivated to do what I was doing. In Votech, I didn't have that motivation. So that's basically what I'm trying to describe to you guys. Now, granted that the culinary and the radio industry are two separate things, but the principles, at least in my opinion, were kind of there. At the same time, I don't think, looking back on it now, I was ready for what I was getting myself into. I kind of placed a lot of the blame on other people, when in reality, there was a decent amount of blame that could be put on myself, because I was not mature enough to be put in the situation I was in, or to be in the position I was in Votech. I didn't feel, looking back on it, I didn't feel like I was mentally prepared for what was coming at me, and I think in the long run that kind of hurt me more than it did help. But and I take those experiences and I apply them to what I do at my radio station at my college. So it's kind of like Votech was a learning experience for me in so many other aspects, but at the same time, it was a learning experience I tend to want to forget, if that makes any sense. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys about the final days of Votech now. Now, usually in like the last 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks, and this happened for both years now. This happened for both years. We would usually we would usually clean all of the equipment. We would usually clean the dish room, even though it was kind of a mess. It was kind of always going to be a mess to begin with, but I tried to keep it clean as best as I could. But they would always say, "Oh, clean the dish room." So we would scrub the dish room down head to toe. We would mop all over the place. We would excuse me. What would we do? We would mop, and then we would clean the appliances, like any mold or residue from food that was inside the refrigerators or the boards or whatever. We would just clean it all, and it was a very tedious process because you really have to try and clean the stuff as best you can. It's not like you have much of a choice. I mean, if we're gonna leave the appliances for a whole year, you best probably or not a whole year, but at least a good couple of months. You best leave them in a good position so that when they're used again, you don't have much to worry about. So that kind of we just cleaned. And in the last day of Votech, and of course I had 2 last days of Votech. One day was my first year, the other day was my second year. And pretty much all we did the first year was just as much the same as the second year. One of my favorite things, I think it's probably turned into a tradition there, is I think it was to begin with. What we would do was we would take every single bit egg that was inside the refrigerator. I know it sounds insane, but just hear me out. we would take every egg that was in the refrigerator, because they're going to go bad anyway, regardless if they stay in there or not. So we take out the trays of eggs, and keep in mind, we had trays upon trays of eggs in the refrigerator. So we would take them out, and because we can go right out the back door and all we'd see was a bunch of woods and stuff, what we would do is we would take the eggs and toss them right into the trees for no fucking reason whatsoever. Just for a good laugh, I suppose. But other than that, there was really nothing to it. I know it sounds really insane, but even one year when quite a few people were left at Votech, because I think the first year it was just me and 2 girls that decided to show up. The second year it was me, my friend Bree, and like 2 or maybe like 3 or 4 other people that showed up. We would all take a tray of eggs and just toss it into the trees. And one guy thought it was an amazing idea to get a stick that was laying around and try and swing the eggs, and they would break. But in all honesty, it was a pretty stupid idea. And I'll tell you why, because it's not like they're going to go like a baseball. They're not going to fly up in the air like Aaron Judge hitting a 400-something foot home run. They're going to splatter right in your face. So he's tossing up the eggs and swinging at them, but they're just splashing right in his face, and he's covered in eggs. We had to go to the bathroom and just wash his face and wash his hair. It was all in his hair. It was in his clothes and shit. It was nasty. It was really nasty. And it was crazy though. But honestly, that's probably one of my other favorite moments in Votech, because I would literally look forward to it. After the first year I did it, I was like, oh, I can't wait to do this again. And I was like so stoked about it and all of that. But so that's pretty much it, man. I mean, Votech, if I could sum up Votech in one word, it would just be, or even a phrase, it would just be an experiment that failed. Miserably, might I add. That's what Votech was. It was a failed experiment. It was something I thought I could do. And apparently I wasn't given the opportunity like others were. And some may think I bitch and complain about this aspect, but like, you guys weren't there. You guys weren't there, and I was, and I have lived it. Here's where I get the Darth Vader pickup. So from here on out, it's just gonna be Vader, baby. That's just how it's gonna be. I go on a tear towards the end of the game, believe me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, Votech was terrible. I wish, if I ever saw any of the people in Votech again, I would, if I was cool with them, even as terrible as human beings as some of them were, I would just be like, you know what? I'll just say, what's up? How you been? What you been up to? That type of shit. But nothing really of it. I didn't have any real friends at Votech. The only friend I had was my friend Bree. That was it. There's nothing else to it other than that. Maybe my friend Juan, but he was a bit, like I said, I think I said this before, he was the type of guy that changed every time. He was the type of guy that changed when he was around other people. And I think a lot of people were like that. I think I said this before. A lot of people, like, when they were surrounded by people, like, certain others, they would just change in their attitudes. And, some of them were good people, but when they were around, when they were around certain others, they would just change their attitudes completely. And I didn't like that. I personally didn't like that. So that's pretty much it for that. I mean, in terms of like the teachers, the chef was an asshole. I really wouldn't want to ever speak to him again, to be honest with you. We had some good moments, but like I said, he was just an asshole. I wouldn't mind never seeing him again. As far as that one other guy, Mr. R, I talked about, I would, if I ever saw him again, I'd just tell him to fuck himself. Really, that guy was a piece of garbage. Honestly, like if anyone can ever ask me who's the worst person you've ever met, that guy would be one of them. Legitimately, I'm not even messing around right now, folks. So, on that note, I'll just stop complaining about that type of stuff now. I do want to say once again, thank you guys for watching. I know for a fact that I was unable to, you know, consistently get these videos out like I used to, because there was a time where I would upload one of these like every 2 or 3 weeks, and for the last month or so, and for the last couple of months, I've been kind of slacking. By the way, this is like the best moment of the whole game for me. Luke Skywalker comes in. He's like, "Dad, I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what's gonna happen? Get done dirty by your dad, bitch. Sit down. Who's your daddy, motherfucker? Darth Vader." But yeah. On that note, yeah. So once again, guys, thank you so much. I'm going on a fucking tear now. I love Vader in this game. Yeah. On that note, you know, it's been great talking with my experiences in Votech with you guys. It really has. It's really cool to, you know, some of the aspects were really fun to relive through my commentaries. Some others were not so great, but I think, you know, I really missed doing my Life on the Wii series, and I think doing this type of series really kind of, you know, reinvigorated me a little bit to do like personal story type commentary series, that type of stuff. But you know, it was fun. Thank you all who supported them. And on that note, I'm Ed0626. As for Votech, goodbye and good riddance. I'm so glad I will never step foot in that godforsaken kitchen ever again. And you know what? I'm totally okay with that, because I have a completely new career I want to follow, and I'm very proud of how it's going for me. So, that being said, see you guys later.